I'm Cate McCanless, Chief Corporate Affairs Officer at Harmony Biosciences, a company dedicated to developing treatments for rare neurological diseases that are often overlooked. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our discussion on social support systems for people with rare diseases such as narcolepsy, featuring our esteemed guest, Julie Flygare, President and CEO of Project Sleep. Narcolepsy is a rare and chronic sleep disorder that is often underdiagnosed and misunderstood. This can lead to stigma, marginalization, isolation, and delays in receiving care, underscoring the need for stronger support systems that can help individuals feel seen and heard. Before we begin, I would like to mention that Harmony Biosciences is proud to continue sponsoring the Washington Post's annual program highlighting rare diseases in America. This program holds special significance as we commemorate Rare Disease Week 2025. We are truly grateful to have Julie with us today, helping bring narcolepsy into greater light. Welcome, Julie.
Thanks for having me, Kate.
Of course. I'd like to begin with an often overlooked aspect of having a rare disease, the social isolation that can follow your diagnosis, and the strength found in connecting with others who share similar experiences. How has this been true in your own life, and how does it shape your vision for advocacy?
So, I was diagnosed with narcolepsy when I was in law school. I was 24 years old and I had a very busy social life. I didn't, necessarily feel alone in the sense of not having people around me. But after my diagnosis, what I came to realize is that I was experiencing new things that the people in my life just didn't really understand or couldn't really relate to. And so, I don't think I really could have told you at that time, though, what was missing for me. I didn't, think, geez, I should go to a support group right away, or I should see what people are saying online. I just thought I could go it on my own because that's, I think, the American way, kind of like just, buckle up and you can do this alone. And what I actually saw once I was an advocate, once I did start raising my own voice up about narcolepsy, I kept hearing from people, especially when we met, they'd say, "Oh my God, you're the first person I've met with narcolepsy." And it's this magical moment, their eyes would just like glow. And that's once I heard that a bunch from people, I realized, this is a really important aspect that's really not being discussed very much.
I imagine a lot of individuals with narcolepsy have that feeling. Project Sleep recently published a study supported by Harmony Biosciences examining two rare sleep disorders and the impact of social connections on this social isolation that can be experienced with individuals with these disorders. Can you share with us some of the key findings from your research?
Yeah, so we were really excited to ask these questions, kind of highlighting this very specific relationship for people with rare sleep disorders to connect with peers and role models. It's a very specific kind of support. And we hadn't seen any research that actually asked that question. Do you know someone else living with the same condition? So, our study asked a bunch of questions, and we found that at the time of diagnosis, most people, about 91% of people that participated in our survey, did not know someone else living with the same condition, which isn't too surprising when you live with a rare condition. It is most likely that you won't know someone else in your own life living with the condition at the time of your diagnosis. But what was even more striking was that even many years after diagnosis, about a third of all people that participated in our survey still didn't know anyone else living with the same condition. And we found that really striking that one in every three people participating in this still didn't know anyone that they felt comfortable asking a question to or talking to. So that was striking. We also asked people, did they feel supported in general? And only about a third of people felt supported in adjusting to their diagnosis. And how that correlated with people that knew someone else living with the same condition was there's a strong association, basically. People that felt supported and people that knew other people living the same condition. And so also younger respondents, people that were married, and people living in the US as opposed to internationally, they also were more likely to feel supported in their adjustment to their diagnosis. So, it was really striking. We also asked people whether or not they felt that their connection with a fellow person living with the same condition had a positive impact. You can't know for sure that it's always going to be a positive impact, but about 80% of people said that knowing someone else living with the same condition had a positive or very positive impact on their experience.
Asking these questions is so important. Uh, how do you think these findings can help promote this idea of patient centered care? So, what additional steps could be taken to help connect patients with organizations like Project Sleep that can offer resources for community education or empowerment? And lastly, what are the next steps for this research in terms of improving care for individuals living with rare diseases?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you just live with a rare disease, you just don't know exactly where to find other people. But then to realize that you could actually be sitting in the waiting room of a doctor's office with other people living with the same condition, and you're kind of just like missing each other. So we're really encouraging providers to ask the question to their patients: do you know someone else living with the same condition? As a starting point for that conversation, connecting patients with patient advocacy organizations that have a variety of different programs, education, awareness, advocacy, all sorts of different efforts going on in the community. I think I just really hope this is a source of inspiration for other patient advocates, organizations, and researchers to look more closely at the social side of the experience. It is such a huge part of the experience, and it just shouldn't be underrated. I think, maybe not everyone knows exactly what it feels like to live with a rare disease, but if you think of your own experience, even professionally, I think everyone could say they probably know or have a mentor or a role model they look up to, or they travel their career with other people. They have peers, they have friends. So an experience with a rare disease is just like that. It's good to know other people that are experiencing the same thing, and people to look up to and know that that they can do it. I can too.
Well, you are very clearly that role model for so many people living with narcolepsy. As we conclude this enlightening discussion, I want to express my sincere gratitude to you, Julie, for sharing your insights and your personal story with us today. I encourage everyone to learn more about your work by visiting www.projectsleep.com. I would also like to extend our appreciation to the Washington Post for hosting this meaningful program dedicated to elevating rare diseases as a national public health priority. And finally, thank you to all of you for joining us as we work together toward a future where every patient's journey is met with understanding, compassion, and above all, hope. I'll now turn it back over to the Washington Post.